Hello everybody, back with another video. So today is Halloween, so the one day of the year when us horror freaks get to be ourselves. So spoke about this in our WhatsApp group a bit, so know somebody's ideas. I'm sure a lot of these are sort of unanimous. A lot of people would recommend these for my top 10 favourite jump scares. So not really ranked as such, but number one, not saying is the most effective, but the one that affected me the most, so probably as I seen it when I was a kid, but we'll get to that one at the end. Try not to speak too long, go on about these films. Kind of might be some spoilers. Obviously, it's hard to talk about some of them without giving some context of the jump scare or how it's, what's the word, sort of manufactured, built up, how they sort of lead up to the jump scare. I've been thinking about this for a while, months ago before Halloween, talking to one of my mates in work who's not really a horror fan, and he's saying the reason he don't like horror films is because all the sort of loud jump scares makes him anxious. So he's saying, it would just be dark room and then a loud noise of some sort, and that's kind of meant to make you jump. Whereas he said he don't really mind the gore and the violence and sort of psychological, creepiness. It's more just jump scare. So I said, well, they're obviously effective if they're getting you and you don't want to go and see the film. But he's like, yeah, but it's cheap and easily done, just make a loud bang and everyone in cinema jumps more at the noise than the actual scene that's being shown on the screen, I guess I would say. Obviously if you haven't seen these, I'll try not to give too many spoilers. Most of them, if I talk about them in the context of the film, it's not really going to ruin the jump scare, but then maybe one. But I will mention a spoiler before I come to it. Right, so first of all, you've got Wreck, Spanish film, found footage, set in an apartment building, as I spoke about in my favourite sort of locations for horrors is apartment buildings in a video I did. So this has kind of got two jump scares. So there's one, well, more than that, I guess, but the ones that I would choose is, there's one later on with the old lady. Won't go into that too much. That's why it's on this list. Quite a few of these have got sort of more than one or two or so. So there was a few I was thinking of, but I put these above them just because, if it's got one real good jump scare, another film's got one good one, but some of these have got more than one, then they sort of, what's the word, qualify for the criteria. But yeah, the one that gets me is in the attic. So they go up into the attic, shining their torch around, and because it's light up in the attic, I wasn't expecting anything. I was expecting him to get pulled back down the hatch or the lights go off, and then basically some sort of zombie boy's face pops up. Yeah, first time I watched that, that got me. Every time I watch it, even though I know it's coming, it does still make me jump. I watched it earlier on YouTube, just doing a bit of research for this to check 100% it was Rec 1 and not Rec 2 before I messed it up. But if you've seen Rec, whole film's creepy, quite a few good jump scares. But yeah, for me, The Boy in the Attic. Next one is not a horror film, but this jump scare really got me. So I think I first seen this when I was about 16 or so. My mate had kind of warned me when the guy starts talking about his dreams. So if anybody hasn't seen Mulholland Drive, David Lynch film, say this is kind of more of a drama than a horror. But yeah, one of the best jump scares, not just in terms it really got me, but the way it builds up. So yeah, it's basically a guy talking about a dream, keeps having this recurring dream. They're in the diner. It says when he goes out round the side of the diner, in the dream, there's this kind of creepy tramp kind of guy. And he's like terrified of him. And once he sees him in the dream, I think he dies in real life. So the guy's saying, no, don't be silly, I'll take you around the corner and show you it's not real. And then, without sort of spoiling it, obviously once he gets around the corner, there is really something there. And the way it sort of jumps out and the sort of makeup, should I say, of the sort of guy's face, yeah, real creepy one. Really got me the first time I've seen it. I know a lot of people that can't watch that scene again once they've seen it once. Not so much for the jump, I think it's just more the sort of build up. It's very tense, and then yeah, the actual sort of way the guy looks when he pops out. And then the thing, so there's quite a few of jump scares in this. Obviously everybody must know, if you watch my channel, The Thing is my favourite movie ever. So the bit, I'm sure everybody's seen this, so this isn't any spoilers, but they've got the corpse on the table, and he's about to use his defibrillator, as you call it, about to shock and blare, I think he's called, yeah, about to electrocute him, the sort of corpse, and as he goes to put it down, the chest opens up into a mouth and bites his hands off. So that's quite a good jump scare, but for me, the best jump scare in this is the blood test scene, would you call it? So Kurt Russell's had an idea that basically if the thing's hiding in somebody, every single molecule within it will be part of the thing. So if you were to basically take a sample of blood and put like a hot wire or a flame or anything to injure that blood, then its natural reaction, no matter how much the creature tries to hide it, would be to try and sort of escape the damage. So they go to the blood supplies where they've got bags of blood and it's already been sabotaged and somebody's already destroyed the blood because they know, they're the thing they don't want a test to happen. So then they start testing it. It's a real tense scene, a real slow build up where Kurt Russell's got a flamethrower and he's heating up like a little bit of metal and putting it into a petri dish of each person's blood, and it's got their name marked on it, say Windows, one of the characters. And then once he puts it in, you're expecting it to sort of something to happen, and somebody's kind of red herring and nailed on that you expect they're the thing. Nothing happens, and then it kind of subverts expectation, goes away from the scene for a little bit while something else is going on, and then comes back to the scene. And then, obviously when Kurt Russell puts the hot pin into one of the petri dishes, the blood kind of jumps out into like this. I don't think it's really a certain shape. It just sort of escapes the petri dish. But yeah, that one really got me the first time I seen it. It's more the build up and the tension as much as the actual moment of the jump scare. But yeah, sure, everybody's seen the thing. We've got Audition. So this one, I would say, is the kind of most spoilery one. If you haven't seen this, then, some of the others, I could say a monster jumps out at a certain part and you're not going to know when, really, so it could still get you. As with this one, once you know it, I mean, I don't think it really made me jump again, but it's the more the build-up. So with this one, it's basically like a burlap sack on the floor, like a big kind of brown, like, potato bag sort of thing, I guess you'd call it. There's a few scenes where it's just filming it and it's just on the floor doing nothing. So I thought it was just an empty sack or there was a dead body in it. But yeah, there's one scene really well built up where basically camera's focusing, extended, cut at the burlap sack and nothing's happening. And then just as you think it's going to pan away and it's sort of, what do you call it, like a fake... We don't even expect a jump scare, you just expect something to happen. So I kind of thought it was a fake out. And then it's not a loud noise and a ghost jumping out like some of these. Basically, the burlap sack just lurches over. And when it does it, obviously, when you realise there's somebody inside the burlap sack is part of why it made me jump. But also, yeah, just the way the scene builds up and lingers. A lot of jump scares are just kind of like, even when they're on with the thing, there's tension building up. You know what the outcome is once he does a certain thing. That's when the jump scare is going to happen. So even if they make it last longer or subvert it, it's still kind of cause and effect to a certain extent. Whereas, yeah, with this one, kind of came out of nowhere. Mentioned it to a few other people that's watched this, and they did say it got them, but yeah, this to me just really affected me more than it seemed to with a lot of people. So yeah, Takashi Miike film. No, Roy and Sammy and a few of you have seen Audition. And then you've got The Descent. So I spoke about this in quite a few videos, saying it's like one of the scariest films, one of my favourites, sort of most claustrophobic film. So yeah, it's kind of two jump scares in this. One bit nearer to the start. I won't go into it too much, but basically I won't say what she's doing because that will spoil it if I say, the moment when the jump scare happens. So if people haven't seen this, then it can still get them. But she's basically having a flashback to something that happened. All I'm going to say is there was a car accident with her family. She has a flashback where a moment, she has a, not hallucination, but like a flashback image, vivid image of that event happening. Sort of comes out of nowhere and did get me. But yeah, it's the jump scare later on. Won't say too much. I'm sure most people have seen this, but if you haven't, you'll know they're trapped in a cave. You might not know what else is sort of lurking down there. So all I'm going to say is there's a woman, she's sort of hiding in the cave. Another woman comes up to her, sort of thinks something's behind her, it's not. And then when she looks again, there's literally something like next to her. With some of these, I don't want to spoil them too much in case people haven't seen these. So a few of them, like the Descent one, quite hard to talk about. I don't want people to have to click off every film I bring up that they don't know. So I kind of given a spoiler warning, but just try not to spoil it too much. So yeah, go and see this one if you haven't. But I guess main thing with good jump scares is for me not to spoil them and to keep them sort of fresh. You don't know what's coming. Next, you've got Sinister. So this one I will talk about a bit more because I'm sure everybody's seen this, but also I think this is a kind of jump scare. Even when the scene starts happening, If you know what happens, it's not going to ruin it. It's still shocking. Yeah, basically within this, really enjoy this one. Quite a creepy film in general. Ethan Hawke, directed by Scott Derrickson. A bit more of a sort of investigative thriller kind of edge, where he's sort of researching all about the thing. Won't go into the plot too much, but there's a creature in it called Bagul, who's quite creepy, quite like one of the more sort of recent horror icons, I would say. And then, yeah, basically there's these kind of, I wouldn't call them snuff tapes, but without spoiling it too much, he finds all these tapes in the attic, like old kind of VHS, and he's viewing the contents, and they've all got, without going into what's on them, grisly content on them, let's just say. But yeah, the one bit that really got me with this, it's got real creepy music that plays when they're watching the tape, which really gets under your skin, or at least got under my skin. And then it's basically a scene where you could just see a lawnmower being pushed through a garden. Kind of don't know where it's going. I thought, it was going to be pushing forward, and then it would turn around and it'd be some, the villain had the lawnmower. But yeah, basically, the lawnmower's just going along. You don't know what to expect. Keeps on going. It's sort of camera's panning. Goes on longer than you'd expect, thinking, where's this going? And then, yeah, suddenly, in the next frame, there's bodies on the floor and the lawnmower just goes over them. But yeah, for me, these jump scares, the one in Audition where the sack rolls over, this one, they're not only well crafted, but they're not just a loud bang. It's all about lingering on an event for a while, not knowing what to expect, and then getting you when you expect the jump scares not coming. The others, it's kind of two in this. There's the one with the old lady under is it like a tablecloth she's under? Which Roy Barrett mentioned in our group chat, which I do like, but the one that gets me more is when I think she's like in a wardrobe or a closet, is it? I think it's Nicole Kidman's character. Can't remember her actual name in the thing. Tell me on the back? No. But yeah, basically, she's in like a closet, and then something jumps out. That's all I'm going to say, because again, I don't want to spoil this. If anybody hasn't seen these, then yeah, go and watch. I say all these are good films and quite sort of classics, as well as having these good jump scares. But at the same time, yeah, I'm trying not to spoil these. So, yeah, what I'm going to say is sort of the way it sort of pans around and the face pops out with the noise and that, yeah, it did really get me. On the others, real classic, kind of more of a modern, I think it was 2001. Reason that one actually, I should say, worked for me is because I seen that one at the cinema. Must have been, 16 or so when that one came out. It's at the cinema with my girlfriend, maybe her auntie or something. And yeah, in the cinema, obviously, where it's loud and it's all dark, it really got us, and everyone in the cinema screamed and people threw their popcorn. Right, and then you've got The Conjuring. So I think there is another bit in this that gets me a bit, is when there's the bit on the wardrobe, and this kind of hag sort of thing's up on the wardrobe and jumps down. That one got me. So like I say, quite a few of these have got more than one jump scare, so proves they're a sort of effective, scary movie. But yeah, the one for me, another one everyone mentioned in the group chat when I said I was doing this video, is sort of clapping scene. So I feel I can go into this without spoiling it, 'cause you won't know exactly when it comes. But basically, Vera Farmiga, is she called? Yeah, is playing hide and seek with the kids, and it's a creepy old sort of dark house. I think this is set in the 70s or so. Go down to the basement, playing hide and seek, and basically they clap a few times to let you know if you're sort of warm to where they are. So obviously, if you're in the bedroom where they're hiding, you might hear them clapping, and you can sort of close the distance. So obviously, it's building up that she thinks she's following one of her kids, thinks the kid's in front of her, and then basically something claps behind her. But yeah, not only a really good film, really classic, sort of one of the best modern horrors in my opinion. Honourable mention, I was going to put the Insidious in there, the bit when I call him the Darth Maul demon, but he's behind Josh, I think he's called in it. Patrick Wilson's, is that his name? Yeah, he's in Conjuring and Insidious, but yeah, behind his sort of head, and then it just pops up out of nowhere, so it really did get me the first time I watched it. I think once you know it comes, it doesn't get you again, where some of these will, where there's more of a tension than just the noise and the jump scare. And the Darth Maul demon, the lipstick demon, I think some people call him, does look a bit silly, to be fair, but yeah, it did get me the first time. So yeah, I chose this over Insidious, just better film. Yeah, like I say, one of the better sort of recent ghost films. Right, on to the top two. So it's hard to choose between these two. I'll say I'll talk about the number one last. So let me go on with this one. So there's that one. Marcus's slippy action. So yeah, Exorcist 3. Who's this actually directed? Oh, William Peter Blatty. I didn't realise it was directed by him. Obviously, he does the first Exorcist. Yeah, I mean, try not to spoil it too much. I have mentioned before when I was talking about The Exorcist 3, all I'm going to say is something to do with this on the front. So it's not really a noisy jump scare, it's the way it's sort of built up. It's really original. I think this is probably the most effective as I watched them as an adult. And I think Nikki from Skin Crawlers said this was like the best one in his opinion. I know a lot of people say this. So yeah, I think this is probably a better one, but my number one, I've saved a number one just because I watched it as like a 6-year-old kid and it sort of got me, still gets me now. And yeah, just I'll get onto it when I come to it. But I thought I'd just sort of tell everybody why this is not my number one. So yeah, I think this is the most effective one in general in terms of filmmaking, but it just didn't get me as much as the one we've got coming up. It's a creepy bit, it's not really a spoiler, where the nun's like climbing over the ceiling. But yeah, the bit, all I'm going to say is there's something to do with these big scissors and a nurse. I can't really say more than that because it'll spoil it, because I know a few of you I've been speaking to haven't seen this one yet. I know Sammy G's got it now. I'm not sure if he's watched it yet. And I've sent it to Marcus. I think he's seen it before, but yeah, I don't want to sort of ruin it if people haven't seen it. But yeah, really good film. One of my top sort of favourite horror films, as it was on my horror ranking list. And then, as you can see by this t-shirt, I've worn this for a reason. So it's Jaws. So I think there was another bit that made me jump as a kid when I was younger. Might just be when the sort of shark first pulls the woman under near the start. Obviously, yeah, I must have watched this when I was like 6 years old or so. So it sort of terrified me of the water. I think I spoke about this before on the video of films that scared me as a kid. It sounds illogical now as an adult, but I genuinely was scared to like go in the swimming pool, bathtub, go in the paddling pool, because it sounds ludicrous, but I genuinely thought somehow Jaws was going to manifest in the small body of water and get me. But I guess that's testament to how effective the film is. But yeah, the jump scare in question, sure everybody knows this. I will tell this because you know what, this film's got to be 40, 50, what was it, like 79? It's a bit dark now. I haven't turned the light on because I didn't want to get a load of glare, so hopefully everyone can see everything well. Can I actually see the year on the back? I know Stuart George will know because this is his favourite movie, so comment down below, mate. But yeah, I'm guessing like mid-70s or so it must have been out. But yeah, basically, Fisherman is, I think in the film he's gone missing rather than, you assume he's been killed by Jaws, but basically Fisherman's gone missing. There are two divers going down looking for his boat. I think it's like a porthole, you call it, on the boat. And then as you're expecting the shark to loom around or they actually find the body, then basically like a severed sort of greening head comes popping out with like an eye come in. It's not just the, what's the word? The automatic shock of the scene where it sort of pops into view out of nowhere. And I think there is like a musical sting. There's not a noise, like obviously some of these will have a loud bang or a door slam or someone scream, whereas I think it's more just like a on a violin or something to get you. But yeah, it's more the imagery. So when I seen this as a kid, the actual head itself really scared me. I don't know how long the head's been under there to the point it's sort of starting to go green and the eyes like hanging out of the socket. But yeah, it's more like the shock of what you see as well as the build-up, how well it's executed. And I'd say this is more a thriller than a horror film. So, the shark attack's happening. And as a kid, I was watching it and it was kind of intense. But yeah, I was expecting, maybe to see like a body or some gore and stuff being like a shark attack movie. But I thought it'd be more family friendly. And yeah, I thought, the scary bits would be when you see the shark rather than this bit. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, everybody I know, this really got them. So not only is it a well-made scare, but yeah, probably the most effective one that I've encountered. I mean, if I first watched this as an adult, let's say 20 or so, I think it would have still made me jump. But I don't think it would be as memorable as when I was a kid. But yeah, the actual sort of face of the guy obviously is very grotesque, gruesome. The way his face looks, that kind of haunted not so much my dreams. I don't think I had nightmares about it, but when you close your eyes and you keep sort of seeing that same image. So yeah, that's the top 10. So I already know a few of the YouTubers' favourites because been talking on the WhatsApp group, and they've all been putting in their ideas and their 2 pennies worth. Yeah, I think a lot of these kind of, most people would agree with some of them being the best jump scares, if not the most sort of well executed and best build ups, or at least original. So yeah, rather than just try and go for a load of like ghost movies where ghosts jump out and it makes a loud bang, I wanted to go for a few that was sort of worked up with a bit more tension, sort of Alfred Hitchcock style. I was thinking of Psycho. I think it did make me jump when I first seen it when I was younger, but really don't anymore. So yeah, anybody else think of any that I haven't mentioned or any that I forgot? I'm sure there's some people I mentioned. I think, oh yeah, how the hell have I forgot that? But yeah, have a good rest of your Halloween and watching some horror films. Thank you, everybody. Bye.